Hi everybody, I'm Chris Volpe, wing leader of the Dallas-Fort Worth wing of the Commemorative Air Force, here with Ready for Duty, which is a Navy DC-3. The Navy called them R4Ds. The R stands for Reconnaissance Transport. The D stands for Douglas, which is the company that made it, and the 4 stands for that this was the 4th type of transport that Douglas built for the U.S. Navy. This aircraft was built in 1944. It was built in Kansas. It served at the end of World War II. It was configured as a 6S variant, which is an anti-submarine variant. And if you look on the belly of the aircraft, there's actual shackles there that would have carried depth charges. We have replica depth charges inside. The aircraft's not painted green because it didn't spend its time over land. It spent most of its time over the Atlantic. And the Atlantic tends to be pretty overcast and gray. And that's the reason it has this camo scheme. So 2025 is the 90th anniversary of the maiden flight of the DC-3. It's a big anniversary. Our DC-3 is powered by a pair of Pratt & Whitney 1830-92 engines at maximum power. They produce about 1,200 horsepower each. It also happens to be the 100th anniversary of Pratt & Whitney, the company. So it's a kind of commemorative year this year. Each of these engines holds about 25 gallons of oil. So with these big radial engines, when you fire them up, you need to let the oil warm up to at least 40 degrees Celsius before you put real power on the engine. So you'll see a big airplane like this needs to warm up about 10-15 minutes for the first flight of the day. So for DC-3s, which were designed in the mid-30s, there were very few paved runways. These aircraft landed on unimproved areas like grass or dirt or even sand. And so the gear configuration for that time was you wanted your main strong gear in front of the aircraft so they would absorb the shocks of the potholes or the molehills or whatever they happen to hit. And then the third wheel is the weakest wheel. It was in the back, protected. Now, in modern times, we have paved runways, and so they can take that rear wheel, that tail wheel, and put it under the nose as a nose wheel. And so when you look at these old airplanes, they all sort of sit with their nose high as if they want to take off because of the fact that they were designed to land on these rough fields. So Ready for Duty is an R4D-6S, and the S represents anti-submarine configuration. And so in the war, it would be configured with shackles very similar to these to actually carry depth charges. So these are examples of the shackles it would have, and up on board we actually have replica depth charges. So this was a Dakota that could fight back. It would loiter over the ocean for up to 10 hours. A lot of folks think that World War II submarines spent most of the time under the water, but the reality was they spent 22, 23 hours above on the surface, and so you just waited for them to have to surface and then you would attack. One of the questions we're asked frequently is about the nose art and Ready for Duty. This is not original nose art. In fact, the U.S. Navy frowned on any kind of nose art, so there was no nose art on naval aircraft in the war. The only thing you'd see is occasionally on an aircraft carrier flight group late in the war, you might see someone write a name in chalk on the nose on a fighter or a bomber. But we added this nose art when we acquired the airplane in the 1980s. And the name Ready for Duty is based on the fact that she's an R4D, not the other way around. You'll also see on the nose some other things. There are many national flags there. Ready for Duty visited Europe in 1985. This is our second trip to Europe 40 years later. And so you see the flags of the nations that we visited, with the exception of Mexico. That was a separate trip. Also, some of the other nose art you'll see, the bird represents a bird strike that happened a while ago. I won't comment on the trees, but you can figure that out from the bird strike. But the airplane wasn't hurt at all. It happened a long time ago. And then R4D Ready for Duty specifically was part of a group that purportedly sunk a German U-boat. We don't know if this airplane was directly involved or indirectly involved, and those records have kind of been lost to time. But that's what the half-sunk submarine represented, that this airplane might have been associated with the U-boat sinking. So we're here in Europe as part of the Navy to Victory Tour. 2025 is an incredibly important commemorative year. It's the 80th anniversary of the end of the war, of course. It's the 90th anniversary of the maiden flight of the DC-3. It's the 100th anniversary of Pratt & Whitney, who manufactured our wonderful 1830 engines. It's also the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Navy. So we're excited to be here in Europe in 2025. On this tour, we're here in Britain. We're at Old Warden at the moment, Shuttleworth. We'll be spending a lot of time in the UK. In a few days, we're actually going to be heading across the Channel to Cherbourg to spend a week in Normandy for the D-Day 81st anniversary commemorations. We're going to have a couple of reenacting jump groups jump out of the aircraft into the actual drop zones on D-Day, so that's going to be really wonderful. Spend some more time in France, and then back to the UK. In told, we will end up visiting the UK, the Channel Islands, both Guernsey and Jersey, France. We've been visit our friends in Holland, in the Netherlands, earlier this month, and we're hoping to visit them again in July. So this is a wonderful European tour, and then we'll be heading back to the US in late July.
Marking the 80th anniversary of V-Day, but also the 90th of the DC-3 centenary of engine manufacturer Pratt & Whitney, and 250th anniversary of the US Navy. Beautiful airplane with a splendid story behind it, immaculately flown. The Commemorative Air Force R4D 6S, ready for duty, captained by Jeremy Lashbrook.
We'll be open for tours in an hour at 6 o'clock if you want to go inside, okay? Come back here.